Welcome again to Sent with Love from Rita. I'm so happy that you joined me again. We're going to be starting our next series, and that is going to be with another set that I got in my kit, Happy Celebrations. And so far I have been doing a series of other cards, and we're moving into a series with this stamp set. Now, I just want to open up this and show you that it is much larger than what shows on the outside here. Much larger sentiments, and that's kind of exciting. We can do some nice large things with some of what are on here. On page 34, called Happy Celebrations, and you get 22 photopolymer stamps. So I really thought that was an awesome set for me to get in my kit. And then this actually was supposed to come in my kit, and it was the Stitch Shapes Framelits dies, and remember that was back ordered, and we'll be using one of those today. It's going to be this largest square in our creation, so we'll set that aside. Sometimes I get inspired by something, and this was in a magazine, and it just had some really soft, lovely colors to it. I am not introducing the brown tones today with it, but he has like a midnight navy and a turquoise, and then the colors of the ocean. And so these are inspirational colors that really go well with that inspirational magazine. I just pulled this piece out of there so I could share it with you. But just get inspired with colors that you see, and then combine our ink pads to make a really fun card. Let's get started on this one today. I think you're going to really love it. On one of my previous cards, I showed you how you can color paper if you don't have the color that you would like. I use a little clip for what you use on a potato chip bag, and then just dab it in the color, and using scratch paper, just roll it over there. And so I'm going to be making some paper so that I can punch it out, small little punch, and colors floating around in my shaker card. And then the green, I'm going to be using the glitter paper in that beautiful Pear Pizzazz. Just turning my sponge over, I'm going to dab it in the Pear Pizzazz, and I want to get the back side of this green so that all of it, no matter which way the little round shape rolls around in there, it will look green. And so I'm going to be making a bunch of these in different colors to match this in a previous card, and I'll punch out some of that. With any sequins that you might have, this is the sequence from our catalog. I'm going to take some of the gold and green out of this paper pumpkin kit, and just putting together a wide variety that matches what I'm doing with all of these colors. And then in the shaker card, it will be matching the card that we're doing today. So I just wanted to show you here on page 197, we have the sequins assortment with the different colors, and then there's also the metallics. So this is what I came up with all of my glitter papers, and also the sequins that I had received in a paper pumpkin. I just used the gold and the green, not the orange. So I have my soft sky in 5 by 6.5, and I've cut out another piece of white, 1/4 of an inch smaller, and we're going to cut a square in here and raise it up in order to have our shaker window. So using this foam that you can get from any craft store, it lifts up the whole piece. When we cut out that square out of it, it will have stability all along this white piece. But we're going to decorate this piece first, so we'll put that aside. And using a piece that was cut off, Whisper White cardstock, this is where we're going to stamp on the sentiment happy. And we have used a technique in the past, and we'll be using again, where we first stamp in Versamark and then in black. That's what we did with the yellow card last time. And then we're going to fill in the color and we'll be using our Aqua painter for that. These are the 3 stamps that we'll be using from our stamp set. So I want to have this looking like a sky a little bit, some different colors of blue in here, and this is basically going to be the square of our cutout. So within this square and a little bit around it, I'm going to just put in some colors of blue. I'm going to start with Pacific Point, which is not really in our card. Using this sponge technique again that I've showed you in the past, I'm just going to roll in some color. It doesn't have to be perfect or exact. I just want it to have a little highs and lows of color and just a little bit of this soft sky. Just here and there, different blue coloring. So now let's take that square back in here, and that's what it will be looking like. I think that's going to be really pretty, just for a little bit of background to our shaker card. You how I kind of created my shaker colors. Now let's just placing that on there, see how pretty that will be. Okay, so I have embossed this, and I just wanted to show you that using that same little clip that I used on my sponge, it helps not to burn your fingers when you're using the heat gun and it's close to it like that. It can be kind of hard on the fingers. This is our Aqua painter, and we are going to start on the lightest color first. So just dipping into Pear Pizzazz, you want to start light and go darker. And we want a little bit of that green in there to go along with our blue tones. If you need to squeeze a little bit of water as you go, just squeeze the bottle a little bit. And I like to somewhat layer the color. And Pear Pizzazz is going to give us an earthy grounding to the blue tones. I just use a baby wipe and wipe that color off and then begin with the next color. And our next color is that soft sky. And the next tone is going to be a darker turquoise of the Bermuda Bay. A little squeeze is going to be enough. You don't want to start puddling any water, but you also want to get that blending. That's why we're using the Aqua painter today. I want it blended really pretty. Island Indigo, that's going to start us going into the darker tones. All right, and now the darkest tone, and that is Night of Navy. To stop the wetness, let's just use our heat gun again, warm this back all up, and get it to stop any warping that might want to be happening right now. We'll be bringing in this stamp that, I call it like a swoosh. First we're going to be putting Versamark on it, and then we'll be putting colors on there. We'll be doing it just exactly in the same order as our sentiment, and decorate this front of our card in the same technique that we did before. Bringing in Pear Pizzazz first. I go corner to corner here to get this whole piece on at once. I'm going to go a little off the card on the top here. The cool part about this technique is you can be embossing with every color of the rainbow. This time I'm going to go the opposite direction. And again, off, but the other way. Now the nice thing about this swoosh is it's not exactly square. It's a swoosh. So very artistic, and you don't have to, labor over the exactness of getting the lines to line up. This is where we're going to put that secondary sentiment, birthday to you. So happy, and then birthday to you. We'll go right in here. Bringing in our crystal clear embossing powder. Going to give lots of shine on these colors. So as you can see, hopefully, we have a beautiful glossy shine on each of those streaks. Now I'm going to bring in that sentiment of happy. I'm going to use glossy accents like I did in my very first card. And the reason I'm going to do that is I want this to be really glossy. I can see I'm done putting on the glossy accents, and I will set that aside to dry, and then I will cut it out. It'll make it easier for me to cut that out. And now bringing in the plastics that we get with any of our embossing folders or our dies. This is what I'm going to use for our window sheet today. And so I want to put it on both sides of this piece of foam, and that will help wedge in between here that glitter and pieces of colored paper that I created for my shaker card. And then, so I have glued on the back the one side of the plastic, and I have glue on the second sheet of the plastic, and I'm now going to just pour in all of our little beads very gently. Don't want it in any of the glue. Just leave it in a pile for right now, and then we'll bring in this other sheet. Bringing in our piece. You can see it starting to come together. I'm going to use my liquid glue again. Just glue this down, making sure nothing's showing. That I went and washed my hands really well after I did that procedure with the Aqua painter. You can kind of get on your fingers a little bit as you're painting sometimes, and we don't want that. Now remember how we made this look like sky. That's what's going to go behind there now. We can put our other sentiment here, the soft sky, between those two colors. It would have been a little lower. Maybe put a couple of dots down there from my sequence. Emboss with the clear. So what I decided to do, being that I chose the blue sky for the sentiment, and I was up a little bit higher than I wanted to. There's always a creative way you can do something about that. So I'm going to put 3 dots of glue spaced as evenly apart as I can, and I've punched out the green glitter paper. So I'm going to put my little created sequence right over those dots. Then on top of that, I'm going to put the glossy accents to make that really shiny, like a round ball. So you can see the little round half ball on top of that glitter paper that I did. So now this is evenly spaced with the sentiment and those little decorative accents. Here is our sentiment with the glossy accents that are dried. How I dried that was on top of a napkin, and I just put some stamp pads along here like this to make sure that that paper stayed nice and flat as it dried. This will be fussy cut, but you can see how glorious. I'm gonna bring in what was my inspiration again, blues and turquoise and greens, and you can see here how we did with matching up our card. Very similar in coloring. I'm really happy with that. So I'm going to just fussy cut this out to have something that pops up off the card. Here is my fussy cut piece, and you'll see that some of it has to attach here and here, but I noticed that there was a little color that came into the white there, and I'm just going to try to use this chalk marker to see if I can't whiten that back up, and that is working very nice. So that might be something you'd like to keep in your stash of product. This is where you can use the edges of your dimensionals. As you can see, I used the long pieces, and you can see my little shaker box, or these come in the same on the edges. Of course, this is handmade, so we're not trying to be exactly perfect, but trying to keep it as perfect as we can. This card is for my 19-year-old son for his birthday on Saturday. It could be masculine or feminine. That is our shaker card, and I'm very pleased with how it turned out. I hope you like it too. This is the first in my set with Happy Celebrations. And if you haven't seen some of my other cards, I would love for you to go back and check those out. And also, if you need anything, go to the links at the bottom of this YouTube and you can find how you can order any of these elements from this card. Subscribe and click on that bell and you'll get notified when I do another card. Looking forward to seeing you again soon. Take care and God bless you. Bye-bye.